Greetings, salutations. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Ekard, my partner in crime.
Hey guys, what's up? It's OTK.
And today we're here for Daredevil, Born Again. The official trailer just dropped. Well, it dropped yesterday. Yeah, I think yesterday night. And there's a lot of hype around the trailer. A lot of hype for Daredevil, of course. It's been a while since I've seen it. I mean, other than it's been a long time, right? Because I think the other thing was like the Defenders that
I
and
think
other
the
cameos that he's a part of.
I think the Defenders came before season 3 of
Season three,
Daredevil.
okay, season three. Wow,
But it's been a while.
yeah.
The thing about this is for all the girlies in the know, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones were the Netflix series that were loosely tied into stuff that was going on in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just dropped the ball on it. And then they canceled all those shows. And everyone was like, well, fuck. I was like, well, fuck. I mean, look, not the biggest fan of the first season and a half of Iron Fist until the last couple episodes where Misty Knight and Colleen Wing were like Daughters of the Dragon in it up, and I was so excited for the third season, for the next season was going to be about them, and they were like, no. Jessica Jones, I fell out of love with. I still think that the first season is really excellent television, really great character building. It's probably one of my favorite seasons of Marvel live action television. I thought Luke Cage was great. Some misses here and there, but I enjoyed it. I just a lot of conversations about a lot of really good substance in Luke Cage that I don't think people gave a lot of credit for it. Daredevil is obviously the breakout hit of the Netflix MCU shows. I like Daredevil. I thought it was fine. Elektra is my favorite character. The fact that she's not coming over, I'm just like, okay. Oh, and then there was the Punisher. I didn't watch the Punisher. I should watch the Punisher.
That's my favorite, but I'm biased.
Oh yeah. I don't know why I didn't watch the Punisher. The Punisher was the only Netflix MCU show I didn't watch.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough. That's so weird that I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my favorite is the Defenders. The Defenders show, that is my favorite. Like, I love WandaVision so much. I enjoy Agatha all along. I love Miss Marvel. You know, Loki's fine. Secret Invasion, Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman's in it, so that's something. But the Defenders, I love a team up sometimes, especially with characters that I don't particularly read about too much in the comics. But loving the chemistry, even with this guy's Iron Fist, I just love the chemistry that they all had. And then when Misty would come in, or Colleen and Sigourney Weaver's in it, I'm just, the Defenders is my shit. I think I rewatched the Defenders like 5 times, and it only has 1 season. So I'm hoping that this ushers in that, I just 1 more season of the Defenders, please. Just bring back Colleen as Iron Fist, bring back Misty, bring back Luke, bring back Jessica. Like, this, oh god, so delicious. But like, when it comes to Daredevil, like I said, I love the show. Elektra's my favorite character of the show. When Matt Murdock Daredevil was slowly creeping his way back into the MCU with his appearances in Spider-Man and then She-Hulk. Oh, I love She-Hulk. I love She-Hulk. Anyone who doesn't love She-Hulk, the girls that get it, get it. The girls who don't are whack as fuck and should shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry. That show's great. It's fun. I love it. Anyway, and then seeing a more comedic take of the Matt Murdock character in She-Hulk makes perfect sense comic-wise sometimes. And yeah, just knowing that they were bringing back Daredevil, I also know that like the show itself started production. They weren't bringing back like Karen and Foggy and a lot of characters from the Netflix series, and a lot of people were like, well, that's also who made the show. It's not just a Matt show. His relationships with all these people made the show. And they started filming, and then they scrapped it. They scrapped the whole thing. They threw it all in the garbage, and then they were like, well, guess what, guys? We heard you. We heard that you weren't gonna like this, so here we go. We're bringing back the characters that you wanted. And so they reshot the whole thing. And so once they reshot, like when I heard it was coming back, I was like, cool. When I heard who wasn't coming back, I was like, I don't give a flying fuck because
Mm.
whatever. And then when they scrapped it and started over, I was like, okay, super fucking excited. Let's go. I know a bunch of leaks came out, seeing stuff in the last 24 hours about the trailer. It's been a mixed bag. A lot of people excited for it. I've seen some people saying that the leaks were better than what the trailer is, but I think like
There's
our
only one way to
conversation,
find out. Yeah.
right? I also think with like our conversation with Sakamoto days, it's just a trailer.
Yeah.
We have to wait to see what actually happens. So I'm excited to
Yeah.
see because the little gifts I saw and shit kind of got me hyped. And
All right.
also Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, he's great in fucking Hawkeye and shit.
Yeah.
And Echo, oh my god, have you seen Echo? Anyway,
No.
watch Echo 2, guys. Echo
No.
is a great fucking show.
No.
Just if it's not even MCU, and he's also in that. It's
Mm.
in that too. Daredevil's in that. He makes an appearance. Echo is a fucking great show. Top 5 MCU shows, man.
Highly
Right there.
debatable.
Anyway, okay. No, I don't really think it's a debate. I really think anyone who is like Echo isn't great or
Mhm.
doesn't rank it in at least top 5 doesn't like compelling storytelling
Mhm.
and is only ranking it lower because it stars the main lead is a female.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I will say if the show is
Mhm.
bad, I don't care who's the lead.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally a well written show, and the action is great in that show. Anyway, it's not
Yeah.
about Echo. It should be. It's about Daredevil. So you can go ahead and go ahead
Yeah.
play the trailer
Let's
because I
play the
want to see
trailer.
what Disney is gonna throw, what sauce
Oh
they
well.
got.
Well, damn. Oh man. Sheesh. Looks kind of unpleasant. A lot indeed. Hmm. So tense. Lines always get crossed. Hmm. Okay. Oh, what? Oh man. Oh man.
He don't got a leg no more. He don't got a leg.
Damn, bro. Wait a minute. Oh
That guy don't got an
Jesus.
arm. That guy don't got a
Jesus.
face.
Jesus.
That guy don't got a face.
Yeah, let's turn up the
Bro,
gore.
that guy don't got a face. He is now faceless. That one guy got no arm. He is armless. That one guy ain't got a
Yeah.
leg. It's like in the past now.
I don't know how
That's
a
like
man with no hands is gonna handle this.
it's over.
Yeah, it is
It's
so
over.
over. Oh man.
Jawadi da. Like it's
Joe
over.
Wadida,
Jawadi
no.
da. It's over.
No, not the Joe Wadida. Yeah, man.
Oh man. That was
I was
that was a good trailer.
yeah, I was not yo, Frank Castle, we back. Oh man. Yo, yeah, that was a good trailer. Once again, people are smoking, but you know, it is trailers. It's trailers, you know. You know, so it might not excite, you know, majority of people. Basically calling the race before it's actually finished, type of deal. But that was a good trailer. That was a good trailer.
Look, honestly, I think a lot of it comes with Ooh, people disillusioned with just how the MC is shaken out for them personally in the last couple years.
Yeah.
I think if you really discredit Phase 4 and Phase 5, you are purposefully wanting to ignore some of the more joyous and fun and um genre breaking stuff that has happened in the last two phases.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my favorite phases? No, but even like for something like Quantumanium and Love and Thunder, there's certain pieces of joy that I can find in those movies, right? I love the Marvels. That movie is super fun and cute. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I got Echo, I got She-Hulk, um, I got we got Agatha all along.
Mm-hmm.
There's just certain things that have come out within the MCU that I think people are being willfully negative towards,
Mm-hmm.
right? But because they're seen as the loud majority, this is why we're running back on things like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU, right? But I think when we look at this and we're seeing Daredevil and Kingpin, who have been littered into the Disney MCU stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
like in Hawkeye, in Echo, in Spider Man, I think it's cool because they're street level hero and villain as opposed to uh, not street level like an Iron Man or a Captain America, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think dragging them along or like popping them in places really helped build the stepping stones for what the next phase could be, right?
Yeah.
What the next phase could open up. Like I said, I hope there's a lot of good stuff also to be found in the Netflix shows. There's a lot of good stuff too to be found in the freeform shows with the Runaways and Cloak and Dagger. And I know Cloak and Dagger is coming back in conversation because of Cloak and Dagger being in Marvel Rivals. I know the Runaways will eventually come back in conversation when Nico Minoru shows up in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think it's important to dot these characters and try to bring it in some way because there were some compelling stories and compelling character arcs littered all over the place. Same thing with like Agents of Shield or Peggy Carter, Agent Carter. Like I love that's. Oh man, I'm gonna have to expand my MCU shows because that's also my top 5 MCU shows. Anyway,
So I was
like,
like, wait a minute.
oh god, it's a
Gonna have to
lot.
debate
Like
that.
I'm really gonna have to really think. I love Agent Carter so much. Those two seat like that show for me, that show getting canceled was a big loss. But yeah, I think also if you like read comics, also knowing just like the impact that someone like a Daredevil and Kingpin have, just their overreach in certain places,
Mm-hmm.
um, even as street level villains and heroes, it still felt here and there. I like that they're taking the storyline of Kingpin becoming mayor that happens in the comics, Matt coming in and out of vigilante work. I think is also important to know, and I think it's also a good explainer for why he hasn't been around since the show got canceled, and
Yeah.
we've had so many years without. Right? Um, yeah, I thought the trailer was good. I think it leaves it open to a lot of what's to come. I'm hoping that this show is a success. Um, I'm hoping we get Elektra back eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I even hope that Rosario Dawson's character, Night Nurse, comes. I hope
Yeah.
everyone from Netflix
Comes
makes
back.
their way, comes back because I think, like I said, one of my biggest issues back in the day was how separate they were trying to keep everything, either by because on certain licenses got put here, certain licenses got there, but now it's 2025 and I think going forward now that it's a good thing and a bad thing now that
Yeah.
Disney has their hands on all these IPs again, or Marvel Disney has all their hands on these IPs. I think we can bring a lot of it forward to push newer stories. And to create better television. Because honestly, even though no matter how I feel about how Jessica Jones fell off, or how you
Mm-hmm.
feel, or how I feel about like the first season and a half of Iron Fist, there's some good stuff in there. That I think new writers and new producers and new directors could really bring out the magic in. But also understanding too that a lot of the MCU shows are really weren't even. I mean, but the MCU in general too, even the movies,
Yeah.
kind of just felt like they were just turning it out and not really putting heart into it. I'm hoping this changes. This trailer kind of made me hopeful that it
Hmm.
changes, only by the nature of how good Charlie Cox is as Matt Murdock Daredevil, um, and just seeing him littered in places. Um,
Yeah.
I enjoyed the trailer. I'm excited for the series. I think, people who are already, like you said, calling the winner before the race is even over, or whatever you said,
Yeah.
um, are really just either looking for the Elon bucks or looking for the discourse. Um, yeah, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah. To just add on, I was not expecting the trailer to be as violent
Mm-mm.
as it is, mainly because at the end of the day, Disney,
Mm-hmm.
and not really expecting Disney to have the most violent stuff on the platform, right? But being that this trailer had this, violence that was in like the bone crushing, you know, axe grinding, like all the stuff that we saw in this trailer. Uh, you haven't seen the Punisher, right? So Punisher was heavily violent in the Netflix adaptation, right? So it does put me in the mind of, especially since we saw Frank in this trailer. I'm not sure if this is like the first official look, or like I don't really keep up with the news when it comes to any of this. I just, when the trailer drops, I'll check it out. Otherwise, I'll just be surprised when the series airs itself, right? If I remember, when Daredevil did drop on Netflix, they usually just dropped it all the episodes all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Disney Plus is going to be doing like the what they do for Agatha all along, or if they're going to just drop all of it at one time. Because that's how we got introduced to Daredevil, which was all of it dropped at one time. So it'll be interesting to see which format they focus on doing. I think for building up hype, they'll probably do the week by week. That model seems to be fitting them. But the binge model, we'll see. We'll see when it comes to that. For what this means for Punisher fans out there, maybe this, depending on how violent it is, might be an indication that they want to expand, into, not only the Defenders but into the Punisher universe again. Especially the stuff that did happen at the end of that season, and how it did ties and how it tied into Daredevil itself. I just always just thought it was one of those things where they probably wouldn't touch it. But Marvel Rivals kind of playing into seeing the Punisher, like it's a character that I didn't see much of, in other media, even though like he's at that time, he's always a controversial, character for a lot of people. But in terms of, like,
I think
there's games way back in the day for the Punisher, as we know. But in terms of
there
like,
are a couple movies.
yeah, yeah. But in terms of what was getting pushed in the MCU and whatnot, you know, it wasn't one of those that was always often talked about. And then the season for it did drop because it did have some hype behind it. And for what it is at that point in time, a lot of people at that time, I think a lot of people did enjoy the adaptation, but it was one of those that just ended up getting canceled because at this time it was a battle over rights at the end of the day, right? So that, and a lot of people just thought it was just too violent. But then again, that is literally the Punisher. I mean, only so much. Guns are violent, people. At the end of the day, guns are violent, and I guess that was also hitting a little too close for home, with all the related gun talks, especially when that series did drop. There was also tragedies that happened at that point. So it was one of those things that's a moot point, but it's hard to look in the mirror. That, as that saying goes, hard to look in the mirror, especially when the violence is right here in your own backyard, without addressing it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what lies for us with this adaptation. Who are they gonna bring into? I say adaptation. Who are they gonna with this new series? Who are they gonna bring back from the older series? Who are some other characters they might pull from the MCU in this? And we'll see what place this actually has, or if this will just be passed over, like it was in the past, because we only got a few cameos from or Daredevil and other medias and whatnot. Same thing with the Defenders as a whole into the MCU. So in the writing, as you know, when we talked about with the Wolverine and Deadpool, as well as with we talked about with the Scarlet Witch, like as I'm a filthy casual and you're more into with the comics itself, and when we're talking about the MCU, it's been like a whole ass mess. And who's really trying to like keep following multiple different storylines, and it just looks like a jumbled mess at this point in time, and it's just like they're trying to figure out what's going to stick. And until, I guess, for a lot of casual fans, until the next crossover movie, right, is when people, I think, will tend to care a little bit more and start to look like, oh wait, I gotta watch this series in order to figure out what's gonna happen in this movie, or I gotta watch this series to figure out what happened in this series. Like, it's those type of things that people eventually going to care about. So it'll be interesting to see what Disney does with Daredevil, and then what it means for the wider scope of what's going to happen within the MCU, since this is now officially going to be tied to the MCU. So it's now just a matter of what are they going to do with it afterwards. That's always just, I mean, we had the same conversation with Agatha along. What does this mean for the MCU as a whole? Is it going to be, are they going to go forward with this, or is it just going to get lost in the shuffle? Type of deal. So,
which I'm seeing a lot of people talk about too.
mm-hmm.
Just introduction of characters, and then you scatter them for a season,
mm-hmm.
And then we don't see them again for 5 years, 6 years, or until a crossover. It doesn't
mm-hmm.
really build much connection for the audience in general, right? Whereas, like, something with, and it's hard to compare movies that have been out for, let's say, 30 years,
mm-hmm.
25, 20 to 30 years, right? I don't remember when the first Iron Man came out, but not 30 years, oh my god, 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to connect all these characters, and then we're splattering things here and there, but only with semi sort of connective tissue, because we're not coming back to this and we're not coming back to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard sometimes with comics. It's like, well, it's got such a rich history. It's been out for 70, 80 years.
Yeah.
You could go back and forth at any time, pick a character, and then you can see how so and so attaches to so and so.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hope is, going forward, there's more of a connective tissue to things. But I also don't mind standalones too,
mm-hmm.
because, like I said, I mostly read X-Men stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not like I'm into Daredevil. I mostly got into Daredevil because, like, if he'll pop up in an X-Men thing, or he'll get mentioned, or Electric, like, someone is across, someone comes in and out, right? I got more invested in Daredevil because of the Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the Defenders and my little bit of knowledge of these characters. I think my worry is that what'll happen is what's happening in the last couple years with their Disney Plus shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's fine that WandaVision was a limited series, right? It was the first MCU show. We're testing the waters, that's fine. Loki got 2 seasons, but I can't think of another MCU show that's had multiple seasons outside of Loki. Agatha is a spin-off series of WandaVision, but it's still its own show with sort of connective tissue, because they're also just trying to push forward the next phase of the MCU with their Young Avengers line, what will eventually be their Young Avengers. But that is also connective tissue for Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, for Miss Marvel, for the Ant-Man movies and things like that. Like, if you know, you know. But, like, She-Hulk only got 1 season. Miss Marvel only got 1 season, but you could be like, well, she appeared in the Marvels movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's still like, okay, but for all the shit that the Marvels movies got, it's not like we're getting to see a lot of Kamala Khan. Secret Invasion was what it was. Captain America and Winter Soldier, though Sam Wilson, Captain America, he is our Captain America, guys. Even though our Captain America is getting his own movie, that movie's also now strife with controversy and stuff like that. But it's like everything is so, it's hard because these things take time to make, to create, to write, to
Mhm.
direct, to cast, to put out, to distribute. Um, it's hard to connect and keep track. I'm just worried that we'll see one season of this, they cancel it, and then Matt Murdock and Kingpin are just cameo queens throughout the rest of the MCU,
Yeah,
right? But then we don't get to see Karen or Foggy or Punisher anywhere else, right?
yeah,
You introduce these characters to us, you're trying to expand the world, and then you just don't.
yeah. That's
That
that's
I
the
think,
main
yeah, I think
worry.
that's my
Yeah,
biggest worry. It's not even about having to go back and rewatch things because with comic books you
yeah.
have
You
to
can
do
do
that
that. Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah, you can do that. It is what it is. You just got to take the time and be willing to do that. I'm just worried that going forward we're gonna just introduce these people and we're never gonna see them again.
yeah,
And that's one thing I personally hate about comics. We'll introduce characters and then we just never write stories about them ever again.
yeah,
So don't do that.
yeah,
At least if you're going to do this, if you're not going to give it a series finale, if you're just going to cancel it, why even do it in the first place? Yeah.
yeah.
I hope it's a hit.
Hmm.
I hope even if it's a bad season, I still hope a second season comes.
Hmm.
I think we should give these characters time to breathe in spaces. Yeah, but we'll see what happens in March. We'll see.
Yep, yep. Well, that's it, folks. Catch you guys next time. Or Hosts.